Under the Speaker's announced policy of January 3, 2017, the gentleman from California, Mr. Garamendi, is recognized for 60 minutes as the designee of the Minority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. America, my colleagues, Democrat and Republican, this young girl needs our help. She's crying out for her parents. She needs our help. She needs our help now. She's crying for her mother and her father who have been taken from her. This is the picture of America today. This is a picture of our values as Americans. 350 million of us are responsible for this young girl crying for her mother and her father who have been taken from her. They came to America. Her mother came to America because she feared that in her home country they would be harmed. They came to America seeking life. This young girl is crying out for our help. And she is not alone. She is joined by this young girl who has been separated from her parent. And she's alone in a building foreign to her. She is crying out to America for our basic humanity, for our basic morality. And she is not alone. She is not alone, and neither are these young children in a cage in America. What have we become? What has America become? That we would take children and their parents who have come here seeking refuge. We take the parent away and we put the children in a cage. What has America become? That we would allow this to happen. Whatever the reason is for their arrival at our border, we know this about them. They came here seeking the very best of America, the promise of this country. And we put them in a cage. What has America become? That we would allow this to happen. That the man in the highest office of this nation would make it the policy of America to cage children. That the man who occupies the highest office in this land would make it the policy of this nation, a nation whose reputation was one of humanity, of concern, and fundamental morality. That the man who occupies the highest office in this land would put in place policies that would make this young girl cry for her parents. Is this the America that we want? Is this the America that we have come to be? Is this the America who has lost its moral compass, who believes that you could take this young girl or these young men and women, these children, and hold them hostage? The ransom is a border wall. Is that where we are as Americans? That the price for a border wall is this? Is that where we are as Americans? Is that what we have become? We can't debate here on the justice or the value of a policy without taking a young child away from its parents and put them in a cage so that we could somehow use them as ransom for a public policy. This is not America. This is not what we should expect from the man who occupies the highest office in this land. Have no doubt about it. This is not about a law. This is not about a law. This is about a policy directed from the White House that says a person crossing into this country, whatever their reason, asylum seekers trying to get away from the horrors of the country in which they came, coming to America, seeking the benefit of this great country, that they are a criminal and therefore it must be separated from their children. Something is terribly, terribly wrong here. In America, we need to cry out, just as these children are crying out, just as this young girl is crying out. We need to cry out in moral outrage and say to the president, stop it. Stop it now. It is wrong. It is immoral. And it is un-American. Stop it. One phone call. All it takes. Change the policy. There's much to be said. We could talk about the laws. We could talk about how we could change it. We could talk about border control. We could talk about walls. We could talk about new judges. We could talk about lawyers. But at the bottom of this issue is a common issue of morality. Back away for a moment. Back away for a moment. Think about your childhood. Think about that moment. That moment when you had your mother's hand and you were 4 years old and you were walking. You were walking in the mall. Think back to your childhood and think of that moment, and there's probably not a one of us when that hand wasn't there. And we looked around in panic. In panic. And we had lost our mother. And we were alone. And we were in a strange place. Is there one of us? Is there one of us anywhere that at some moment in our early life reached out and mother's hand was not there? Mr. President, your policies did that to this young woman, and 2,300 similarly, crying out for their mother. This is not American. This is not right. It is immoral, and it is un-American at its very heart and its very foundation.